Good morning. Good Monday morning. This is the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vickie Helm. It's brought to you by Metadime Digital Network. I'm so glad you're on. It is Monday, and what a weekend we had, didn't we? And so now we are looking at Monday. The world has opened up for the first time in the United States. All venues are open. And we are now under the microscope of the grand experiment. This is the big time right here where we are going to find out what it's going to be like in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks to see what the virus uncovers and our political system uncovers. I got to say, I see that you guys are here. Nice to see you on. I'm just going to put this here and quiet things down for us. Let's see. Thanks. So over the weekend, what were we doing? We marched everywhere. Around the world, they marched. Listen, if you're new here, this is the Coffee Break Show. We go live Monday through Friday, and we talk about all kinds of things: tips, tools, techniques, stories, news, inspiration, motivation, things that help create thrivability in your business, family, and life. That's what we concentrate on. I'm so glad you're here today. And do me a favor, put your name down below. I see you joining the conversation. I see you guys looking on. Tell me who you are. So this weekend, we had a lot of marching all around the world, but man, the streets were flooded in London. There were so many marchers. There were so many people out in London, and they were, good morning, coffee in hand. Thank you. Good morning. Nice to see you. Nice to see that you guys are coming on. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you guys here. Thank you so much. So one of the things that we looked at was, I saw on TV the floods, the thousands of people out marching in public, carrying signs, being close together, and marching down on Washington. The marches are still, out there. And we are at a pivotal point, I think, in our world, where today, when we opened up in the United States, we opened up. Businesses can now be open. And so the next couple of weeks are going to be a really grand experiment. Some places already still have big numbers of people with COVID, and I wonder what I wonder how the conversation is going to turn. And since it's a time when we are, vulnerable, to say the least, because we don't have a real cure. They're still fighting over whatever it is. It's like a crapshoot right now in the world, isn't it? I mean, we don't even know if our jobs are going to work. We don't know, just because you open, how do you rev up? Just because you open and some people come into your store doesn't mean you're as profitable as you were before. And some people, even though the doors are open, they don't have jobs because they just don't have the need for as many people as they had before. They kind of have to ramp up. And since we've never done this before, what's the ramp up time? I mean, how much time would be a ramp up time? Because, I want to know, do you guys think that we're going to see more COVID? Do you think we're going to be able to ramp up? Do you think what's happening in other countries right now? I do know this. I do know that Japan tried to ramp up, and they had to close schools 1 week after everybody went back because the COVID went to spike up again. I don't know about other countries. Like, has anybody heard anything from Italy or is in Italy and knows what is happening? I know Brazil right now is getting hammered with the virus, but so are the United States. Like, if you go to Worldometer, let me just see if I can pull that up. Maybe it's up right now, Worldometer. If I can, I'll share screen here so you can see it. Let's see. Let me just see if I can move it like this. Can we do this and bring this in? And can you see that? No, you can't. Hang on a second. How do I do that? Share screen. There we go. Share screen, 2 monitors, screen working, best on a laptop. Okay, I'm going to share screen. A friendly heads up, Chrome has a bug that can cause screen sharing to crash on Windows 10. Oh, that's nice. Let's see if we got that done. All right, here we go. Let's share screen here. So I'm going to share screen. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to pull this up. And how am I doing with that being it pulled? I see I do need two screens. Well, anyway, I was going to have two screens, but that isn't working. So I'll figure it out. But if you go to worldometer.com right now, you can see that the US has over 2 million cases now. And it has about 4,000 new cases. And already 112,000 people have died from it. And it's the beginning of the morning. So it's not the end of the day. We have 107 deaths already and 4,000 new cases. And I wonder, is it going to spike or not? Thank you, Scott, for the data. Bam. Italy claims that the virus is losing its potency. Brazil quit reporting numbers because they were so great. So how does the virus lose potency? Does anybody know how that is happening? Thank you. Use the next option over. Okay, so I will use the next option over. Maybe it's this one. This one? Use the next option over. I don't know. I have to go this way. I'll figure it out so we can use that later. But I have a feeling that how does a virus lose its potency? How does that happen? How does this? We have two things here. In Italy, the virus is losing potency, and in Brazil, they just quit reporting numbers because they were so great. And I know that how is it that it loses potency? And so I know that now working stations aren't going to be as profitable, simply because they have now distancing. You have to have distancing. I live in Colorado, so the big number is obviously coming from Amazon. And Amazon has, a pretty big breakout at their facility in Denver. And I don't know how that came in, but I don't know how it's losing potency. That's it. That's the first one I've ever heard of that. That would be interesting. And to find out, great equals so many cases. Thank you. Thank you. Last on the right, second from the left. Last on the right or second from the left. Last on the right or second on the left. So I could do it this way and bring it in. Well, we'll figure it out afterwards. You'll have to teach me how to do that so that I can get that up there and just move it up so we can do that. Both will work. Thank you. So I want to move on, and I just want to talk about this. Do you think that we're actually going to see more cases? Do you think that this opening is going to work? I know that whoever owns a business, they have to take their thought of the profit margin they were going to gain, the revenues they were going to gain, and it's going to shrink. And it's going to be a smaller revenue year. And what happens if it does spike up? So I'm going to be honest with you. I think we're going to see a second wave. And I think the second wave this is just my opinion. I am not a doctor. I am not, any kind of medical profession. This is just an opinion. That's it. Don't take it for, anything. I think the second wave is coming, and I think the second wave is going to be worse than the first one, only because there was so many cases all at once. It's going to overwhelm hospitals again. I don't know if it's going to be different, but I definitely feel like there's going to be more there. I hope Lisa says, I absolutely think we'll see more cases. I do too. That's the hard thing right now. And I just want to say, good morning, Risa. Thank you. So yeah, Lisa, I kind of agree with you. I think the second wave is coming, and I think it's going to kick our butts. The industries that are affected right now that I think are going to continue to be affected, I think airlines and public transportation, people should be a little cautious around taking public transportation. And what if it's your only option? What if you live in New York, you don't have a car, and you have to drive, an hour to go to work? What happens then? If you're in public transportation, even though they're cleaning the bus all the time and you're cleaning everything all the time or wearing a mask, you're still taking a risk. Let me see. I think you're right. Thank you. I understand that October is where the second wave is. Hey, good morning, Marie Jo. Nice to see you. I totally agree. The second wave will be greater. Those people at risk, those people at risk right now, it is going to be a unfortunate time because I think Lisa was the person. Lisa, have you gotten our book yet, by the way? Didn't we send you one? Is that who we sent it to, Robin? Anyway, the second wave coming in, I think, is going to be the thing that overwhelms everything. The reason I do is because the wave of people around the world protesting, I mean, everywhere protesting, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And when they get sick all at once, it's just going to be every bed in the hospital. They're going to be overwhelmed again. I don't know if we'll have enough PPE or anything else like that ready for that. And I understand the necessity for the right to peacefully gather. And I still am a little worried about what might be happening. Let's see. I want to see this. The answer to your viral virulence is complex, but Wiki does a good job answering the question. I will look at that. Thank you, Robin. Since we are cleared to go out in public and be in large gatherings, I expect that it could be sooner. I agree with that. I think it'll be sooner. We have like 3 weeks before we should know if that's going to happen. The second wave now has been seeded. Hold on to your hold on. Go to your doctor now and get the Z-Pack Zinc and HCQ script pronto. Really, do you think there's going to be that many there that it's going to overflow like that? That's interesting. I really think I had it back in January and February, but I was not able to get tested then, so not sure. So I wonder if I can still get it. That is an interesting question. All I can do is get an antibody test. That is a very interesting question. Lisa brings up a good point. If you've had it once, can you have it again? Is it like the measles where you get it once and there you go, it's done? Or the chicken pox, you get it though? Does anybody know? Are you susceptible to getting this again? Yes, we sent one to Lisa. Thank you. Didn't get it yet. Okay, hang in there. The mail is coming. It should be there. Let's see. Here we go. We have a show in December in Vegas. Very leery how folks are going to feel surrounded by hundreds of people feel about crowds in December. Yes, I would not take that for granted. Here we go. Understandably, it's very uncertain. Thank you, Donnie. Here we go. Due to the isolation quarantine, individual virus load decreases. Once they open up again, viral load increases due to being exposed to other individuals with viral load. K-factor dispersion, look at him, he's so smart. Super spreaders is the more you are exposed, the higher the viral load, thus larger groups increase risk and the viral load. May I ask you out there, those of you who are in the know, if you've had it once, can you get it again? Is it possible to have, you get your butt kicked twice by this? We live very rurally. Don't give up hope. A letter can take a week to get there from one house in our town to another. Thank you. So is it possible? Is it possible that if you've had it once, you can get it again? Is that possible? And if so, I think in China they had people who got repeat. I have to get a drink here. Repeat. What do they call it when you get it twice? The repeat viral thingy. When that happens, if that happens, that's absolutely dangerous. That means you could get it a third time, right? Or is this just a one-off piece? Because Lisa, if you had it, I mean, that's just like that to me, the virus, that's like a trip to hell. That is not anything that I would want anyone to go through. I mean, that to me, like the most important part of that, the cured can get it again without any additional exposure. What? I'm sorry. What? Are you telling me that people who had it, who got over it, can get it again, even without like a common cold? Like every year they could get it again? Or do they have to be exposed to it? This has gotten interesting. If you're exposed again, you can get it again. I understand that you can get it again. So somebody told me this is just going to be here. It's just going to be part of our culture to have this kind of illness, to have this kind of thing floating around. And I'm like, okay, does that mean every single season there's going to be a shutdown of everything because we're going to be, I think we're going to have a second wave. I'm trying to ask the question, but are we going to be shut down again for a second wave? And then when it comes back again, we're going to have to close down again. Is the only solution social distancing? I know people are working on a vaccine, and this made me laugh. They're like, well, we may have 200 million vaccines by, 18 months from now. And I'm like, okay, 200 million vaccines, 8 billion people. It's like it's going to be the most expensive shot you ever got. I mean, it would be only those who are really rich could get that shot. 200 million. And from that 200 million vaccines, there's 8 billion people. What country is going to get those 200 million vaccines? I mean, even in the China, there are a billion people there. 1 billion people. The numbers doesn't match. This is going to be a long ride. This is going to be 2 to 4 to 5 years. It's going to be a long time. Want to go back over here? Here we go. Uncertain. There have been reports from China, but it's tough because the reports of real accurate testing results, antibody testing, et cetera, have been falsified. And this, my friend, right here is the big hitch in our giddy up. This right here. We've had falsified records. People there's so many, they don't want to put the data out. I mean, Brazil, we have so many cases now, we're tired of counting them. We're just taking care of them. I mean, that's how overwrought people have gotten with this. And this same thing that happened that we just went through could happen again. So no, we don't have to repeat this as they develop vaccines and we develop herd immunity. So as we get herd immunity, that's going to be quite a while from now. And so we look at that and we're going to have to make adjustments. I do believe it is going to, our economies are not going to recover from this as easily as people think. I believe that right now there are more unemployed just in America. We're not talking all around the world, but just in America, there are some 30 million plus people unemployed right now, and 42% of them have no job to go back to. So how is our future going to move around this? So can anyone even be cured or immune? This is interesting. It'll be like herpes, another virus. If you're stressed out, it'll break out of temporary containment. Very interesting right here, because you know how some of those people get those cold sores when they're super stressed out or they're ill, and that's etc. That could be that. Ooh, that's just nerve-wracking right there. That is just meaning there is a point where there is a new world being shaped right now. It's a completely new world. And how we've done everything, we're going to be a little more online dependent, And in the big picture of things, how we're adjusting to our life. I know this is like what's happening in the world. It's like the conversations happening right now. I've never spent a half a year from January till now, every Monday, talking about a virus that has like overtaken the world. And it almost feels like I'm in some time warp movie, some Twilight Zone as I speak about this. But there is a point right now when there can be new creations that people are doing that can better the world, help the world, grow the world. But we have to keep our mind on how things are shifting. And the way we usually make income is that we have one source of income. We have a job or a business, but we only have one business. We only have one job. And that may not be the best way forward coming right now. And if it's like there's a learning curve to everything. And I got to tell you, we work, I'm not kidding, we have sped up our working hours. And I'm very fortunate that I can work from home. So we work somewhere about 90 hours a week right now. It's that ramp up, ramp up, ramp up, ramp up, ramp up, so that you can even fit in to this new global world. And so I'm looking at this and thinking, I'm not sure what to say. But if it were me and I had a job and I was going to be furloughed, then called back, then furloughed, then called back, then possibly furloughed, called back for depending on the season, depending on whether a wave is coming up or not, I would also take on some other home-based business, because in isolation, you can do that for income. And some of the side hustles are probably going to, disappear. I mean, how many garage sales do you think we're going to see this year for all those eBay people who go from garage sale to garage sale to garage sale? I mean, maybe there'll be a lot. And other people's stuff that they put out, you don't know if it's been sanitized. You'd have to sanitize everything before you put it in your car and then ship it from there to their house, that eBay hustle. Like, I'll just buy from the garage sale and I'll get it online and I'll put it. I would do something different. I think that I would want minimal contact with other people's stuff, the other people's thing. I mean, that group that you belong to, that everybody is social distancing from. I have had so many friends. I just had another friend May 10th an acquaintance friend, pass away from COVID. And that was just May 10th of 2020. I want to be here. So can anyone even be cured or immune? It's like herpes. It's going to come back again. And here, this is interesting. I agree with that, Scott. But yes, they already have cases of being infected again. The problem then is, that's the word, secondary infections or comorbidity. And we don't know what's going to happen long term, like the people who got it in the first place. I know I've heard there's lung damage. It's just permanent lung damage. And I'm like, wow, this is just, 51st dates. That's right. There's so much to learn about this virus right now, and we don't really have a handle on it. So there's part of us we're in this big experiment, and there's so many unknowns. There's so many, we haven't even hit the unintended consequences. What does that mean? Well, back when we were fighting polio and people would get polio shots, they got over polio, but then suddenly they had permanent disabilities, like in their ability to walk, and they had disabilities that just happened because of that. We don't know what the second wave of this, we don't know any outcomes of that. And somehow we think when we get over it, it's out of our body and it's gone, like a cold, and we're not there yet to that point. And so if you live in this kind of pandemic, and to me, I don't think they're going to have a handle on it. I give it 4 years before we're, at least 4 years. I mean, right now they're talking 18 months for 200 million vaccines. And then how many months after that for, I'm looking at 4 years, just there's 8 billion people. The other thing that it's going to affect is our supply chains. And that disruption in our supply chains means that every country needs to rev up their supply chains again after they had outsourced it all the way to China. And revving up these supply chains We haven't manufactured as a country in a steady way as part of our economy. We have manufacturing, manufacturing, but we haven't done it for years. So now they're going to rev up these new plants. And just because they rev up these new plants doesn't mean there's new jobs. Most of these new plants are going to be robotics and AI, and it's going to take the human worker and it's going to squish the human worker to, I only need this many instead of this many. And so what happens is it's just these new plants coming in are going to look like our auto plants. Our auto plants, they went to robotics in the 70s. And then all of the auto workers, they didn't even need as many auto workers as they had. So now that they got this and they do this, we're going to have to rev up our farming if we can. And we're having a solar minimum time, which is, I know the people think, and I'm no expert, I believe that our growing seasons are shrinking right now because the sun isn't doing much activity. And I got that from the weatherman. Look at this. I want to talk about this. This was very interesting. When we got polio, common signs and symptoms of post-polio syndrome include progressive muscle joint weakness, general fatigue, exhaustion with minimal activity, muscle atrophy, breathing or swallowing problems, sleep-related breathing. I mean, these are just some of what happened with just polio. And the point is that we don't know what the signs and symptoms of the post-coronavirus syndromes include. We don't know what that is, and we probably won't know what that is for a few years. But in polio, it was the same thing. When we were fighting polio, we got the cure, we got the shot, and then there was progressive muscle and joint weakness, pain, general fatigue, exhaustion, minimal activity, breathing disorders, sleep apnea, decreased tolerance of cold temperatures. In most people, post-polio syndrome tends to progress slowly with new signs and symptoms, followed by periods of stability. Thank you very much. So we're looking at the fallout of, we don't even know what the post part of this is. We're still in it. Want to say this right here. French news video with Nobel laureate Luc Montagnier. Sorry if I slaughtered that. HIV Nobel Prize winner says bioengineered in the lab. He discusses the genetic inserts he discovered in the virus. There are attempts to discredit this man. Of course there is. Right now, everybody's looking at, making a virus that the enhancing a virus, if you will. I don't know what they did, but when it's made in a lab, this, I think, is one of the most important aspects of that. It was made. This is a thing we don't know anything about. We don't know the progressives after that. You would think that COVID-19 would destroy the lungs. Yes. Lisa says, yes, I read this also. Yes, they're trying to discredit him, and he's actually there. There is a want in the world for us. The governments want the people to follow them. And yet everyone knows the CCP lied. And once you're in distrust of something to this size, to this calamity, there's no way you're going to get the trust back. It's not even like being cheated on. It's like a bigger lie than that. And once the CCP lied about the numbers, lied about the virus, lied about everything else, and started forcing and closing and locking their citizens in their apartments. And we got some citizen journalism from doctors. And even though they vilified the first doctor that reported it, they vilified him. He died trying to tell his colleagues to watch out. When we got that kind of lying, and we have, I think, political battling in our country, it's jousting all the time. When you have that, I'm sorry, you're not going to gain trust from people. That's not going to happen. And then when you take the experts and you vilify them, you're not going to have anybody's, trust. I believe what the government says. I don't think there's a lot of people that do that anymore. And right now, we are in such tumultuousness around the world. And it's not just this virus that's part of the tumultuousness, it's the George Floyd. I mean, this happened in the United States, and it's so many countries. So many countries are out there right now supporting and standing with the United States about, racial inequality and, racism and the actions by police officers. I want to go down here and just pull this up. We're still in the early part of this viral invasion of the human population. Wrecking the economy may not have been the smartest thing to do so early in the game. I totally agree with that. Ramping up the manufacturing of meds needed for the continuing, geometric growth of cases needs to still be of the highest global priority. I agree with that, because you know what? You kill the workers and you have no money. It's not coming that way. It's like, if we can't work, if we can't do this. And I think the pandemic is forcing governments to make different shifts or changes. People have to think on their feet. And I don't know. Right now, I believe that it is going to take a horrendously huge miracle to get the economy shifted around. I was listening to Ray Dalio the other day. He was talking about the economy and a post-pandemic economy. And he said, we're going to go back to like it was in 1940. And I thought, okay, 1940s with the internet, because in the 1940s, they didn't have the internet. And I was like, 1940s, did they have that? Will we have the internet? And I think that depends on whether you can afford the internet or not. But if you have the internet and you have access to a library, is a library even open? How are we going to move from a 1940s and shift into this new wave, this new world, this new growth? Can you imagine that, going from 2020 to 1940? Wow, that blows my mind when he says that. And here we go. Totally agree. Thank you. After the Depression. That's correct. It's after the Depression. That's the rebuild stage. Although our numbers right now are higher than they were in the Depression, I think the recovery is more possible simply because we have access to the internet and access to connection around the world, so we can call in real time. I just want to say the future is tumultuous still. It's Monday morning, and the most important thing I can tell you is you need to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're going to sink. If you have a plan, you're going to swim. And let me tell you, swimming during this time is not going to be gingerly. It's not going to be, you have to swim hard and fast right now. What will be. Adjusting to the new norm, your choice. So what will be, adjust to the new norm. Now, here's the interesting thing, because I agree with that. What will be. But what I believe is that everyone can have a say in what will be. If you create right now, you will have a say in your life of what will be. And if we surrender to just, letting it up, we can also know that we don't know what will be. Oh my, you guys are talking all at once. I'm going to get these out before I go. He stated it will take time for the virus to lose the genetic inserts as it returns to its original state, but that will take time. It could become more virulent before it degrades. Wow. Degradation will occur, but it may take a few years. Thank you for that. Hopefully, many folks have opened their eyes and learned to be cautious with their money. Will banks be safe? Yeah, I don't think so. I think that the second the repo market had to be bailed out, we should have paid attention to that. In fact, I wonder if this pandemic it's the perfect time for them to do a kind of jubilee, a reset, a letting go of debt. And I think that may be there on the plate. I don't know. Create your new norm. Yes. That's the whole point of being here. You got to create the new norm. I wish I had some easy answers. I wish I could say, do this and do this and do this and do this, and it'll all be good. And right now, I don't have that kind of focus, or I don't know what the next thing the president is going to do, or Congress or Senate. I don't know what stimulus bill is coming. And I don't know if it'll get turned down, thrown around. I don't know what's going to be there. And because there are so many unknowns, it's like you can't call the market. You can't call the game. You can't call this. But what I will tell you is that you can empower yourself to learn an online skill set right now. Don't just depend on one income. That income could be open, closed, open, closed, open, closed, depending on the wave or the hot spot. And it's depending on the state or where you are. This is a time where you have to get to the point where you are a patriot for you. How do I make my life skills so relevant that I can get through what's coming? Find a tribe, find a team, find a move, make your moves right now. This is a long haul. It's not going to be, 6 more months. We stayed inside. Now it's the second wave. If it comes, it's going to come big and it's going to come hard. And there's going to be a lot of overwhelm at the hospital. You do not want to be at a hospital, full stop. So be careful with yourself. Drive carefully and don't hurt yourself. Just be very careful with your life at this point, because there is, I think, a big plot. We have lived conservatively for years, so this will not be a big change. That's true. I actually am somebody who has lived very, very, I like a minimalist life. I'm not, I don't need all the junk that you have to take care of or find a place to live with or store in your sheds. There's no easy answer. That's right. People like you will make it because you are positive. Thank you. I'd like as many people to make it as I can. And I got to tell you, Stephen, for bringing that up, I feel a huge responsibility right now. I don't know where it came from. It could be just a story I'm telling myself. But right now, I feel like Jimmy Carter when he said, you got to do whatever you can with whatever you have in this moment to do whatever you can to help the world. And that's what I feel. And I'm just a small little Facebook show that is on the internet. But if I can tell one person some one thing that helps them tell another person that same thing that helps them that tell another person, then I will be on doing this as much as I can every single day. And I want to let you know that I think my fellow partners also feel like that as well. The topic for today's Another Perspective will be the coming agenda of police reform. How might policing change in the years ahead? Ooh, that's right. He's got a show today, and I'm looking forward to that. You are wise. Thank you. Great question. Thank you. 1, plant a garden. Learn how to can food. Have a stash of food and cash. Be calm and enjoy your life. There you go. There's the top 4 things. And I'm ending the show on that because we've gone overtime again today. Mwah! Have a great day. Donnie, thank you for this. Bye-bye.